We know what you're thinking, an economy drive, boring. Well, not this time. This time, we've come up with something a little bit different.
Instead of picking the 5 most economical vehicles from each manufacturer, we've decided to take the 5 most researched vehicles from the car sales network.
We'll see how close each of these cars gets to its ADR combined fuel figure. Whichever gets the closest to this theoretical rolling road stat wins.
And to make things even more interesting, we'll pit each of our road testers against one another. Whoever gets the lowest score wins.
On test are the Falcon XR8, Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, Kia Sorento Platinum, Mazda CX-5 Max Sport and Nissan X-Trail STL. Each will drive an identical course 3 times, the tank filled and the consumption calculated at the end of each run. To make sure the test is conducted in the fairest manner possible, we'll be using a third-party industry specialist to conduct all refuelling and measurement. Our technician will also keep an eye on tyre pressures and course times to ensure drivers are adhering to the road rules.
Well, here we are in the Kia Sorento, and it's probably no surprise that the 2 turbo diesel engines are so far proving the most economical. And of course, the reason for that is quite simple. Turbo diesels develop their torque really low in the rev range, so you're not having to rev the engine as hard to extract more torque or drive from the car. From a fuel economy standpoint, that means you're also not tipping as much fuel into the engine. So it stands to reason that turbo diesel models are more economical.
In the early stages of the test, the Jeep Grand Cherokee also showed a lot of promise. The fuel economy numbers on the car's trip computer adhered closely to the manufacturer's figure. Of course, the final figures sat with the technician, and until testing was complete, our drivers would remain none the wiser to prevent any chance of skewing the scores.
This is the Nissan X-Trail. It's a 2.5 litre multi-point fuel injected 4 east-west, and it's all-wheel drive. It's also the only car here with a CVT. It's the least powerful car on our test, and it's also the highest of the naturally aspirated cars in regard to fuel figures or claimed fuel figures at 8.3 litres per 100 kilometres.
The X-Trail was one of 2 vehicles on test to feature a normally aspirated petrol engine. The other offering, Mazda's CX-5, showed similar character traits under the bonnet, but with a 6-speed automatic transmission in place of the CVT and idle stop technology to save fuel when stopped at the lights, appeared to stick more closely to the advertised fuel figure.
Being supercharged, the XR8 has a lot of grunt no matter where you are in the rev range. That means I can run a higher gear or lighter throttle loads, particularly uphill, which saves fuel. But the parasitic loss of driving the supercharger soaks up more engine power and therefore fuel just to drive it to give you that extra power.
After 2 days, nearly 1,000 kilometres and a lot of trips to the fuel station, we had one answer, and one that we might add surprised our judges. After showing promise when driven in an economical style, the Kia Sorento finished the Economy Invitational in 5th place. The lower displacement turbo diesel engine worked hard through the hilly sections of our test loop, elevating the overall figure to a point it couldn't reclaim on flatter ground. The petrol-powered Nissan X-Trail came next, the SUV's smaller engine and CVT requiring a lot of engine revs to accelerate from standstill and to conquer steeper hills. Interestingly, our 3rd place getter was not the second normally aspirated petrol model, but the supercharged Ford Falcon XR8. The model's strong low-end torque meant fewer revs were required to get up to speed, which saw less fuss from the gearbox and an impressive overall result. The petrol-powered Mazda CX-5 came in 2nd place and was the first model on test to come within a litre of matching its advertised fuel figure. The Mazda's engine did require a few revs to keep pace, but with an intuitive transmission showed a result that speaks for itself. Which brings us to the winner of the 2015 Economy Invitational, the Jeep Grand Cherokee. In spite of its weight and aerodynamic disadvantages, the Jeep's strong 3-litre turbo diesel engine showed impressive results at the hands of all 3 judges. It was the only car on test to maintain a single-digit average regardless of the driving style, and finished the Invitational with a figure just 0.2 of a litre more than its advertised value.